Top 10 Terrorist Nations in the World. Today the terrorism is one of the most alerting problem for the world. Whole world is suffering and getting insecure due to terrorism, especially the Islamic terrorism. Different kinds of terrorist activities in different countries are increasing day by day. This rapid increase in terrorist attacks resulted the massive hatred and insecurity against Islam and radical Islamic organizations in West. Many European countries and Americans are against the immigration of Muslims in their countries. The victory of Donald Trump as the President of the United States is the result of this insecurity and anti-Islamic sentiments. Not only the developed countries but the countries like India, Nepal, Bangladesh etc. who are still a developing country, are also suffering due to increased incidents of terrorism in their countries. There are few countries in the world which are considered as the supported and hub of terrorists. Many of them deny these allegations and many are officially announced as terrorist countries. Terrorism is supported and nurtured in these countries and most of them are Islamic countries. So, here today we present you the top 10 terrorist nations in the world. Number 10. Thailand. Incidents of terrorism in Thailand are mostly related to the South Thailand insurgency, which has been ongoing for decades. Small bombings are common in the three Muslim-majority southernmost provinces of Thailand, where a bloody insurgency has killed more than 6,500 people since 2004. On August 12 there were explosions causing casualties in Hua Hin and Surat Thani. We are also urgently clarifying reports of an incident in Phuket. On August 11 there were explosions in Hua Hin and Trang, both caused casualties. There is a high threat from terrorism in Thailand, according to the Foreign Office. Bomb and grenade attacks have been indiscriminate, including in places visited by expatriates and foreign travelers. The culprits are most likely Malay Muslim insurgent groups fighting the Thai state in the Deep South. Number 9. Libya. There is a high threat from terrorism in Libya. Attacks could be indiscriminate, including in places visited by foreigners. Extremist groups including Daesh, formerly referred to as ISIS, are responsible for the majority of attacks, which have targeted foreign and diplomatic personnel and premises, international hotels, commercial and oil installations, and government. The conflict against Daesh insert has intensified since April 2016, involving airstrikes, artillery shelling and street-to-street fighting. Daesh have carried out brutal reprisal killings against local residents insert. In Derna, conflict continues between the Libyan National Army and local armed groups. Terrorist groups in southern and southwest Libya are also of concern and are using the area as a safe haven and transit route. Armed groups remain largely autonomous due to the unstable political and security situation across large areas of Libya. Number 8. Somalia. Somalia was created in 1960 by the merger of British Somaliland Protectorate and the colony of Italian Somaliland. The revolving door politics of Somalia brought the country 14 separate governments between 1991 and 2010. Bronwyn Bruton, working at the time with about 50 local NGOs in Somalia, says, groups operating in Mogadishu were consistently telling me they had never had a better operating environment. However, fringe extremist voices within the ICO, particularly from terrorist group Al-Shabaab that claimed affiliation with Al-Qaeda, worried many in the West. Number 7. Yemen. On October 2002, near the port of Al-Makla, suicide bombers rammed an explosive-laden boat into the Limburg, a French oil tanker, killing a Bulgarian crew member and spilling 90,000 barrels. Jews in Yemen reportedly fled their homes due to threats from Muslim extremists. Al-Qaeda members sent letters to 45 Jews living in Al-Salem, near Sana'a, on January 19, 2007, accusing them of involvement in an international Zionist conspiracy. The Jewish community sent a complaint to President Ali Abdullah Saleh and temporarily moved to a hotel near Sana'a. The Yemeni government promised to protect their homes and reassured them that they could return. On January 18, 2008, Al-Qaeda militants opened fire on a convoy of tourists in Hadramaut, killing 2 Belgian tourists, two Yemenis, the tourist's driver and their guide. In March 2009, 4 South Korean tourists and their local Yemeni guide were killed. 2 attackers also died. Number 6. India. Terrorism in India, according to the Home Ministry, poses a significant threat to the people of India. Terrorism found in India includes ethno-nationalist terrorism, religious terrorism, left-wing terrorism and narco-terrorism. South Asian Terror Portal has listed 180 terrorist groups that have operated within India over the last 20 years, many of them co-listed as transnational terror networks operating in or from neighboring South Asian countries such as Bangladesh, Nepal, and Pakistan. Of these, 38 are on the current list of terrorist organizations banned by India under its first schedule of the UAP Act, 1967. As of 2012, many of these were also listed and banned by the United States and European Union. Number 5. Syria. The Syrian Arab Republic has been a victim of terrorism. Since the start of the Syrian civil war, Syria has been swept by multiple terrorist acts, initiated by radical anti-government Islamist groups, chiefly by the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria and in some cases Jabhat al-Nusra. The Syrian government itself has been accused of engaging in state-sponsored terrorism by President George W. Bush and by the U.S. State Department from 1979 to today. However, Syria has assisted the United States and other governments in their opposition to al-Qaeda. This includes Syria's efforts in stemming the flow of al-Qaeda-backed fighters from crossing into Iraq along its border. Numerous assassinations of opponents of Syria and the Syrian government have been alleged to involve the Syrian government. Syria and its supporters claim that no substantial evidence has been produced to prove these allegations. Number 4. Pakistan. Terrorism in Pakistan has become a major and highly destructive phenomenon in recent years. The annual death toll from terrorist attacks has risen from 164 in 2003 to 3,318 in 2009, with a total of 35,000 Pakistanis killed between September 11, 2001 and May 2011. Pakistan has long been accused by its neighbors India and Afghanistan, and Western nations like the United States, and the United Kingdom of its involvement in terrorist activities in the region and beyond. Pakistan's tribal region along the border of Afghanistan has been claimed to be a haven for terrorists by Western media and the United States Defense Secretary. According to an analysis published by the Saban Center for Middle East Policy at Brookings Institution in 2008, Pakistan was, with the possible exception of Iran, perhaps the world's most active sponsor of terrorist groups, aiding groups that pose a direct threat to the United States. Daniel Biman, an author, also writes that Pakistan is probably 2008's most active sponsor of terrorism. Number 3. Nigeria. Terrorist attacks are much more lethal in Nigeria than any other country, the GTI report said. The report, released on November 16, 2015 by the Institute for Economics and Peace, said the Islamist terror group in Nigeria, Boko Haram, overtook ISIL in 2014 to become the most deadly terrorist group in the world. Nigeria has been ranked third of the 162 countries of the world that have been worst hit by terrorist attacks, according to the 2015 Global Terrorism Index. In 2014, Nigeria experienced the biggest yearly deterioration in terrorism on record. The number of people killed in Nigeria by terrorist attack in 2014 was 6,118, compared to the 1,595 killed in 2013. According to the report, Nigeria has moved from the country with the fifth highest levels of fatalities in 2013 to the second highest in 2014. But then, Boko Haram isn't the only terror group in Nigeria that kills. The Fulani militants in the northern part of Nigeria is recorded to have killed as many as 1,229 people in the country in 2014, which is an incredible leap from 63 recorded in 2013. Number 2. Afghanistan. Modern Afghanistan is seen as a place of terrorism and fear, but it hasn't always been that way. Afghanistan had always been a good trade location. Due to its popular trade background, Afghanistan attracted many invaders throughout its history, and it has been fought over and ruled by many people. Afghanistan has been a place of constant war since the 1980s. Terrorism started when the Taliban came into power. The Taliban are a political terrorist group which conquered Afghanistan and its people. The Afghan Taliban are responsible for most insurgent attacks in Afghanistan, which follow an established pattern of regular low-level ambush and hit-and-run attacks, coupled with periodic high-profile attacks. The Taliban have been moving aggressively in many parts of the country, evidenced by the fact that suicide and complex attacks increased by 78% countrywide in the first 6 months of 2015 compared with the same period in 2014. The Taliban between 7 and August 10, 2015 conducted a series of attacks in quick succession in Kabul that resulted in at least 60 deaths, marking the deadliest stretch in the capital since the US-led invasion in 2001. In the first attack, a suicide bomber detonated a large truck bomb in a residential area while attempting to target an Afghan Defense Ministry building, killing 15 civilians and wounding up to 400 others. And the number one terrorist country is Iraq. There is currently a very high threat from terrorism in Iraq. Extremist groups like Daesh, formerly referred to as ISIS, are responsible for the majority of attacks. Following Parliament's support on September 26, 2014 for UK airstrikes against Daesh in Iraq, there is a heightened threat of attacks against Western interests in Iraq. Following Daesh's expansion into the country in 2014, there have been numerous and frequent terrorist attacks, and levels of violence remain high. The UN has reported that at least 7,515 civilians were killed by terrorism and violence during 2015. This trend has continued in 2016. Attacks are more frequent in areas where ISIS has a strong presence and capability, such as Anbar, Baghdad, Nina, Salah al-Din, Dila and Tammim, Kirkuk, provinces, but can and do occur throughout the entire country. Targets for terrorist attacks have included residential compounds, military establishments, oil facilities, public transport, commercial venues, including markets and stores, maritime facilities, land border crossings, government buildings, hotels, restaurants, large crowds, police stations, party political offices, events, sports venues, stadiums and religious sites, ceremonies. Methods of attack have included shootings, large-scale coordinated bombings designed to cause mass casualties, suicide bombs, vehicle bombs, rockets and mortars. In the early months of 2014 and in October 2014 there were several reports of indirect fire on the international zone in Baghdad and Baghdad International Airport. Foreign nationals, including those of non-Western appearance, are high-value targets for terrorists, insurgents and criminals. There is considered to be a heightened threat of terrorist attack globally against UK interests and British nationals, from groups or individuals motivated by the conflict in Iraq and Syria. So, these are the top terrorist countries where terrorism is at its peak. If you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe and watch our others videos too. We upload new videos every week. You can also comment below about what you want to see in our next videos. Thanks for watching.